Feeding a raw diet means you're either feeding ground meats, bone, and organs, or chunked pieces of meats, bone, and organs. If they're whole pieces, they're pretty much always going to be homemade. But if they're grinds, they're either grinds you made yourself or are commercial grinds that you buy from a company. Whether you're feeding DIY raw parts or a commercial grind, this will be a great alternative to processed kibble and canned food. But they do come with their pros and cons. So today I'm going to focus on grinds. So let's go over the good and the bad about raw grinds. Let's first go over the bad. Number 1, grinds don't give the same teeth cleaning effect. When you're feeding whole pieces of meat and bone, this forces the pet to chew. Chewing on raw bones especially helps scrape the tartar and plaque off the teeth and greatly improves their dental health. While their genetics and breed may play a role in their dental health, chewing on raw meaty bones and chunks of meat will greatly increase the time until they need a dental cleaning or extractions. Some pets may never need a dental cleaning in their life on a raw diet. Number 2, nutrient loss from grinding. Grinding exposes the meat to oxygen, which has been known to destroy oxygen-sensitive nutrients like vitamin E and omega-3s, which are essential to dogs, cats, and ferrets. Additionally, there are many water-soluble nutrients and amino acids that can be lost through the myoglobin, or juices that the meat secretes when ground, as well as thawed and cooked. One important nutrient that can be lost through secreted myoglobin is taurine, which is an essential amino acid for obligate carnivores like cats and ferrets, as they can't synthesize it in their body like dogs can. The nutrient is almost exclusively found through animal sources or by supplementation, and a deficiency will lead to retinal degeneration, dilated cardiomyopathy, and even death. Taurine is found in red meats and seafood, but it's mostly concentrated in harder working muscle meats like heart, tongue, and whole prey. Although it's difficult to measure the precise amounts of amino acid loss, if you grind your pet's food, it's never a bad idea to supplement taurine, especially if the meal consists of white meats like chicken and rabbit. Taurine is essentially non-toxic, and any excess will just be excreted through the urine. Number 3, you have less control when feeding pre-made raw grinds. While you don't have to deal with the hassle of balancing the nutrients in your pet's meal for them when feeding pre-made balanced grinds, you also don't have the ability to control the amounts of raw parts that go into the mix. And many pre-made commercial raw foods also contain synthetic nutrients to balance rather than them being provided by fresh foods. This is just fine, but it's always best when derived from a species-appropriate food. Many owners complain that some pre-made raw grinds are too high in bone, or that they don't contain a second secreting organ. If you don't have the time or aren't confident with making a homemade raw meal, these are perfectly fine to feed. You just have to find the right brand for you and your pet. Now, let's move on to the pros of feeding grinds. Number 1, many pets transition better with grinds. If you feed your pet wet food often, they may be able to transition to raw grinds a lot easier than whole chunks. Many pets become confused when given chunks of raw meat and may not realize it's actually food, especially adult cats and ferrets that have never had them before. Oftentimes, they may put it in their mouth and just remove it from the bowl, and some may turn their head up from the bowl entirely. When transitioning to raw, making the grinds watery and offering it with a spoon often helps picky pets start to get a taste of this new food. You can then slowly reduce the moisture until you think that your pet is ready to try small chunks. Number 2, commercial raw grinds will be balanced. Of course, a main reason people choose commercial grinds is because it's already balanced and they don't need to do any guesswork. A big stressor when feeding a DIY raw diet is definitely making it balanced for your pet. But many might not be, especially if they're just PMR grinds of muscle meat, bone, and organ. Be sure to check to see if they claim that their recipe is complete and balanced, and if it's not, what it's providing and what still needs to be added. Number 3, it's better for gulpers. Gulping can be a big problem for some pets, usually in dogs, but can of course be seen in cats and ferrets as well. Carnivores don't have the jaw mobility to grind and chew their food, so they often just bite it a few times, then swallow. Bad gulpers may not even do that and try to just swallow large pieces whole. This is of course a big choking hazard, so feeding grinds can greatly remedy this issue. This can give owners some peace of mind if they leave their pet with someone else that may not be able to help the pet if they're choking. If you think pre-made raw grinds work best for your pet, watch our raw food review of 7 commercial brands.